Welcome to Starizona, where we'll take you on a trip into outer space faster than Neil Armstrong could have ever done. So buckle up and get ready to enjoy your flight. I'm Jonne Telkamp.
And I'm Hugo van Zundert. During this show, we will explore our galaxy and the science of stars, all the way from Flagstaff in northern Arizona.
You've had a rough night.
Well, actually, I've been up all night watching the amazing night skies.
That explains a lot. Out here in Flagstaff, there's a lot to be seen as soon as the sun goes down.
That is true. With its many observatories, it's like a paradise for space fanatics.
But it's not only hobbyists who are right at home here in Flagstaff. Astronauts and geologists have used this area as a base for space exploration over decades. At the heart of it all is the US Geological Survey, where they spend a lot of time studying our endless universe. Our reporter Mateusz Pietsikowski has the details.
Flagstaff is well known for its contribution to the world of space exploration. A key component of these ongoing discoveries is the USGS Astrogeology Center, where we are invited to take a peek behind the scenes.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
These words might never have been said if it wasn't for Flagstaff. The landscape here is ideal for astronaut training. In fact, every single astronaut who walked on the moon trained in this area.
We have a very pristine impact crater nearby. We have great volcanics. We have the Grand Canyon. There's all kinds of things that are relevant to training astronauts in a very small area.
A crucial part of the training was practicing how to operate the moon rover using a special version constructed by USGS employees.
So this rover has the same size and shape as the one that was used on the moon. However, the many details are different. The one on the moon was built to work in 1/6 gravity. So it was very lightweight. It was very, in some ways, fragile. So this is much sturdier. It has real regular tires. The one on the moon had wire mesh. You didn't have something you had to pump air into. It's much lighter than a rubber tire, but gave you a little bit of springiness so you weren't feeling the impact of every rock you ran into.
Grover was used to train astronauts for the Apollo 15, 16 and 17 missions. One of the minds behind this engineering feat was Bill Tinnen, who shared memories with us at his home in Prescott Valley.
The best job I ever had in my life, and probably is better than you'll have in your life. If I'd have known then what I know now, I would have kept notes on everything we did and wrote a book myself.
Tinnen was also involved in the training of astronauts, and part of this job was creating a moon-like crater field just northeast of Flagstaff.
If you set off 200 craters at one time with dynamite, that's pretty interesting too.
Like many others, Tinnen says the moon landing is something he will never forget.
About as emotional as a man can get. It isn't easy for a man to cry good, and when they landed, you really give it to it. Everybody did. Oh, it's just stopped.
Tinnen is retired now, but he still tries to keep up with space exploration as much as possible. He's excited for what the future holds.
And now I think you guys are gonna see the biggest one yet, Mars. And you'll be a part of it. I won't, but you will. If you're interested in that type of thing, keep up with it, and it'll keep with you the rest of your life.
Today, robotic rovers are the ones leading the way in space exploration. Kristen Bennett operates the so-called Mollypole, a camera attached to an arm of the Curiosity rover, currently on the surface of Mars.
The big questions that the rover's answering so far it's all about water. A lot of it, at least, is about water. And so previously what the rover's been driving through are fine-grained rocks, which we think were deposited in a lake. And so that means that there was a lake about 3-ish billion years ago.
But geologists like Bennett say there are still many questions that can only be answered by astronauts.
Picking up a rock can answer a question that we have as scientists, and so I think it's really important to get astronauts out onto another planet at some point, and hopefully that happens while I'm still working on all of this.
I know I'll certainly be keeping my eyes on the skies in the near future. Mateusz Pietsikowski, Starizona.
Wow, isn't it amazing how they can just send people off into space?
Do you think we'd be able to go up there ourselves?
Maybe one day.
Well, up until then, we are blessed with impressive telescopes like the ones you can find at Lowell Observatory in Flagstaff. For the 125th anniversary, Maxime Lawende visited the observatory to find out about their amazing discoveries.
I, Coral Evans, Mayor of the City of Flagstaff, do hereby proclaim June 6, 2019 as Lowell Observatory Day here in the City of Flagstaff. Congratulations.
I'm here for Lowell's 125th anniversary to reflect on their past achievements and goals for the future. I had the opportunity to meet some of their leading experts. Lowell Observatory is perhaps best known for the Pluto telescope, with which self-taught 24-year-old astronomer Klein Tombo discovered Pluto, by accident. Another astronomer, V.M. Slifer, brought to light the first evidence of an expanding universe.
And that changed our concept of the universe, told us it's much bigger and much older than we previously thought. I mean, another favorite thing for me is the moon mapping that went on in the 1960s, and that was in support of the Apollo missions to the moon. And it was one of the greatest achievements of our species to walk in another world, and to think that some of the astronauts looked through that telescope and all this mapping that was going on here, that's kind of a neat heritage, I think.
One of Lowell's goals is to use these findings and resources to get folks excited about astronomical wonders.
We also have this strong outreach program where visitors can come in and look through telescopes and really share in the awe of the universe that we all feel when we work here. And we've been around long enough, 125 years we're celebrating this year. And so the fact that we've been here for that time and have made a lot of great discoveries, but that's just, you know, a sign of what's to come. There's so much more ahead of us.
I took a tour at the observatory the other day and got a look around. Kevin showed me the Clark telescope in operation.
Kind of open until they're straight out. So the top doors open with ropes and pulleys, but the side ones have electric motors on that were put on in the 60s. So it allowed them to open that door pretty easily that way. So, you know, if we're at nighttime and we're going to look through this, we open the dome to look out. You rotate the dome around, and that's why it's sitting on these tires.
Being totally overwhelmed by the appearance of the Clark telescope, I had to take it on myself.
So you get the feel for it, and there's a certain amount of balance. If you follow this up, you see numbers.
Yeah, plus minus.
Yeah.
This telescope is one of Lowell's biggest versions. However, Lowell is not planning to hold back and aims to continue to develop. Astronomer Gerard explains one of the more advanced telescopes these days.
I specialize in a special kind of telescope called an interferometer, and we bring all the light to a central place where we mix the light together and we then snap the picture.
Van Bell is also hoping to get NASA's approval to build one of these unique telescopes in space.
And up until now, we haven't had an idea on how we're going to do that in space. There hasn't been one of these kinds of telescopes flown in space where you have a small telescope and a small telescope and you link it together to make a big telescope. And we think we finally have the recipe for that now, where we're going to fly a very small thing that has little outboard telescopes, and then we're going to print the telescope with a 3D printer in space. And then we have the ability to synthesize a very big telescope.
I've learned so much about the importance of Lowell's discoveries and how they benefit Flagstaff for years to come. Maxime Lawende, Starizona.
I can't wait to see what those telescopes will discover in the future. It is one thing to see the stars from the ground, but who knows what the perspective from outer space will show us. For the time being, we have Flagstaff to give us a view of our expanding universe. But the ability to see it from here is no accident. We had an opportunity to look at the amazing night sky during the Lights Out Flagstaff event. Both professional and hobbyist stargazers gathered around with their telescopes to watch the night sky in all its glory.
Flagstaff is the very first dark sky city. That means light pollution is regulated here to protect astronomers and sky watchers. The Dark Skies movement is the work of this man, Lance Diskin, the founder of the Dark Skies Coalition. He says he wanted to do something to prevent development from ruining Flagstaff's view of the stars.
I tried to see what was the most precious resource here, the most valuable resource that needed attention and protection. And that turned out to be the night. And that was the foundation of the Flagstaff Dark Skies Coalition.
As you can see, Flagstaff has a lot of natural beauty to look at and to be protective of. Joining us in the studio, night sky activist and the co-founder of the Dark Skies Coalition, Lance Diskin. Thank you so much for joining us. We kind of have to correct something. We mentioned that you're the founder of the Dark Skies movement, but actually you've been very active in Flagstaff with the Dark Skies Coalition. That's correct, right?
Yes, I'm a founder of the coalition, and that was 20 years ago. But we stand on the shoulders of others here in Flagstaff who have been doing this for 60 years.
Okay, thank you. And the Dark Skies Coalition, what do you exactly do?
Well, we work to help people feel less threatened by the night, to celebrate the night. We have artistic events. We have a star party every year that attracts thousands of people. We do art shows and music performances, storytelling. Of course, we work with political entities like the city and the county to encourage them to have effective light pollution ordinances. We work with institutions in the city like NAU or the Chamber of Commerce, et cetera, so that everybody can participate.
Okay, and I've heard you say light pollution a couple of times. I don't think our viewers have any idea what that means, so let's have a look at this video that we shot at the Lights Out Flagstaff event. The light spot that I'm seeing, lighter spot that I'm seeing over there, is that what we're talking about then?
Yes, that's Flagstaff's sky glow. Every community, town, city, wherever you are, emits light up into the air, and that's called sky glow. And Flagstaff does have a sky glow, but we have much less of an amount of light pollution because we've been controlling that for many decades. We have a lighting ordinance about what kind of lighting can be used. We have a sign ordinance about what kind of signs can be used. All that contributes to being able to keep Flagstaff, with a population of about 75,000 people, about the amount of light of a town of about 40,000 people. So we're controlling it.
That's amazing. And I have one last question for you. The light pollution obviously ruins the view and like time lapses that we made, but does it also have an effect on our ecosystem?
Well, the night is the only ecosystem on Earth in which all people reside. Whether you're a mountain person, an island person, a desert person, forest person, jungle person, everybody shares the nighttime environment and the nocturnal ecosystem. So it's very important because everybody shares it. And the night is not simply an empty time when nothing happens because most people are asleep. It has profound effects on animals, plants. We're only beginning to understand now its impact on human health. And of course, the generation of electricity has major effects because that's all run on one kind of fuel or another. Put fossil fuels, solar, isotopes, and most of all water that is used to generate that electricity. So there are many impacts.
Okay, well, I would like to thank you so much for being here with us. We appreciate your stories and efforts into protecting dark skies in Flagstaff. Hugo, back to you.
We've all learned from this that we should take care of our amazing dark skies and minimize light pollution. On June the 20th, it has been 50 years since the Apollo 11 moon landing. Starizona visited the Meteor Crater where the astronauts like Buzz Aldrin and Neil Armstrong were trained for this mission.
Located just minutes off the old Route 66 in northern Arizona lies a cavity in the Earth created by an asteroid. This is also known as the Meteor Crater. Approximately 50,000 years ago, a meteor broke away from the asteroid belt and made its way toward Earth. It hit the surface of our planet with the power of 1,000 nuclear bombs. The impact ended up making this enormous crater. Thousands of people visit the crater every year and are stunned by the overwhelming size of it. Head tour guide Jeff Beal thinks it's a unique site.
I think it's just a place that people visit when they're on vacation. It's a place for tourists, but it really is an educational facility. It's really clearly a meteor impact crater, and so people enjoy that and they learn a lot. They go away from the crater having an interest in the space program and science and that sort of thing.
Sabrina Thorman is among the thousands to visit the crater each year.
I was amazed. It's so old, and I never thought I'd see something like that in person.
At the visitor center, there's a movie theater, gift shop, and a museum that includes remnants of the Apollo astronaut training that took place at the crater. Also on display, fragments of the giant meteorite, which was roughly the weight of 2 cruise ships at the time of impact. Today, several pieces remain.
Our largest fragment of the meteorite here at the crater is called the Holsinger meteorite. It's in our museum. It was found in 1908, and it weighs 1,406 pounds, or 637 kilograms. It's iron nickel meteorite, so really solid, amazing chunk of meteorite.
There are approximately 200 craters scattered around the Earth. And of all of those, Meteor Crater is in the best condition. Beal says it's vitally important to take good care of the crater.
In the 20th century, we used to let people walk around the crater, go in and out of the crater and all that. And we actually did at that time about 5,000 years worth of erosion to the rim of the crater. So today, access is much more restricted to the just observation decks, which are paved surfaces.
The crater was once used to train astronauts for the moon landing. The first training started exactly 50 years ago this year. In honor of this jubilee, the whole northern Arizona area will celebrate this with multiple festivities.
So when the astronauts landed on the moon, they landed near a meteor impact crater, and so he was training them here how to pick up geologic samples. It was a rare opportunity to do a little geology once they got to the moon. One of the most famous stories about that is that as the astronauts were training out here, Buzz Aldrin actually ripped open his spacesuit in the crater on some sharp rocks, on some limestone here at the crater, and they realized after training here that they really needed to make the spacesuits much tougher for when they got to the moon. I think the most important thing that guests can learn when they do visit the crater is just that our planet does occasionally get hit by meteor impacts. So it's important for the general public to understand that this is definitely a possibility, which would mean that in the future it would be important to be more prepared in case this could happen again.
This was the Meteor Crater. When you stop by, don't forget to rub the meteorite fragment at the entrance for good luck. Sterren van Zanten, Starizona.
Well, they were sure lucky to visit a place with such history.
But we're lucky too. Within a couple of years we will be part of history when the first person will set foot on Mars.
That is true. And with telescopes and observatories developing more and more, we will be able to experience it as if we were there ourselves.
Well, only if we make sure to protect our night skies from light pollution.
Otherwise, we will just stay here in Flagstaff and be trained to become an astronaut.
We might as well. Neil Armstrong himself said it was only a small step, didn't he?
After this show, you should know better than that, Jonna.
You're right, Hugo. Space traveling requires a lot of practice, patience and expertise. Thank you for watching Starizona.